For me, it's all about connection, right? So connecting to as many individuals as I can. Obviously, I cannot remember 1,500 people's names, but I try my best to talk to them, to say hi to them, to make them feel seen, valued, and heard. I'm from America. I grew up in a very American way. And when I first moved abroad, I moved to China. And it was total culture shock for me. And throughout my journey, I've lived in 7 different countries, and each country has a different culture.
One word that describes your leadership style.
You have to go forward. Or if you go back, you have to literally walk through every single thing that you already walked through. So for me, the choice is always go forward.
So they teach us that look for the best possible options and move forward. You already have almost 16 plus of experience in HR and people and culture. So what do you think future of HR and workplace culture looks like?
I really care about people. I think that obviously we had COVID, we all know about that. And at that time, we saw more humanity. We saw people caring. But now it seems we're going back to the old ways. We're going back full time to the office. We're forgetting that people have families. We're forgetting what's important to humans, which is family and care and empathy. And I want us as a world to go back to that. Of course, work is there. Of course, work needs to be done. Of course, businesses need to make money. But at the cost of what? Go to them. What are your challenges? How are you feeling? Do you like your job?
It is very important to understand what the other person is going through. Sometimes in the rush of the moment, or maybe we have our own life, we forget about the person who is there. We just read the faces and we move on, right? Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of HerTalks, a podcast by Women First Jobs. Thank you so much for showing all the love and support to our content and episodes and the guests we are. So today we have an amazing person with us. Her name is Jessica Duvall. She is the head of people and culture working with the Chinese Palace restaurant. And let's all welcome Jessica. Hi Jessica, welcome to our show HerTalks.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Likewise, we are equally excited to have you on our show. So, the first question for you is with 16 plus years of experience in HR, how has your approach of leadership and workplace culture evolved?
Yes. Over time, I think I really focused a lot on education in leadership and empowerment. So for me as a leader, it's not like being a manager and I'm there just to tell people what to do. For me, it's about empowering them and educating them and growing themselves so that way we can work together better as a team as a whole. So for me, I have evolved because of the ways I approach my leadership with the empowerment.
So, you lead a team of almost 1,500 people as a people and culture. And what's the secret of keeping everyone intact and aligned with your vision?
So for me, it's all about connection, right? So connecting to as many individuals as I can. Obviously, I cannot remember 1,500 people's names, but I try my best to talk to them, to say hi to them, to make them feel seen, valued, and heard. And so in my current role, I'm always trying to go out of the office. I go to the restaurants, I go to the accommodations, I go everywhere to say hello, to see the people and listen to them. Because I think building that connection, it's what helps bring people together and helps them feel like they belong to something.
I know it's not easy to be a people and culture and managing the expectations of so many people, but how do you balance the organization's goals and the expectations of the people as well?
So, first step for me is to understand the business. I don't mean the logistics of the business, the owners of the company. What is their mission? What is their vision? What are their values? And then I create my people strategies based on those values. For example, one of our core values could be like humility, or that connection, our loyalty, integrity, recognition. So how do I build my strategies to feed that through the people, to build those things from all the way from the top all the way to the people. So it's not just about me, Jessica, or me as an HR, what I think is best. I have to understand what the company wants, what the CEO wants, what type of culture they want to build. And then I work on the strategies through that.
So I know, I think I heard a lot and read as well about you that you are giving them importance on the inclusive environment as well. So what are the impactful changes organization can actually work to make it more inclusive environment for the organization and the employees?
So, first, I think it's about education. What is inclusivity? What does it mean? It doesn't just mean hiring 50% male, 50% female, or 50% a nationality, 50% another nationality. We have to talk about what does it mean? How do we value the opinions of others? How do we respect the opinions of others? So I educate about cultural differences, about inclusivity, and then how we can work as an organization to put that into our people strategies and make sure we're doing that and we're being respectful of cultures, nationalities, origins, and all of that.
Jessica, you have worked for across multiple cultures. So, what do you think actually? How does cultural awareness shape leadership in a global workplace?
So you have to be aware of different cultures. We're all grew up in a certain way. I'm from America. I grew up in a very American way.
Hmm.
And when I first moved abroad, I moved to China. And it was total culture shock for me. And throughout my journey, I've lived in 7 different countries. And each country has a different culture. And we all know that. And we grow up in different ways. And so it's about understanding the different ways people have grown up, what they respect in the company culture. Do they respect hierarchy? Do they respect job titles? Do they respect age? Do they respect gender? And how do we communicate with each other? Communication is a big thing. Some cultures have a very indirect way of speaking and an indirect way of communicating, whereas other cultures, it's more direct, it's more open, it's more honest. But that's okay. They feel safe to do that. So it's when you're mixing different cultures here in Dubai, like it happens a lot, we have to do education again
Right.
and say it's okay. This person isn't communicating to you in a way that's disrespectful. In their culture, this is how they communicate. But in your culture, you may see it as very disrespectful, but it's not necessarily the case. So it's about educating those cultural differences and bringing that awareness so that a way people can communicate better and work better together.
That is wonderful. Jessica, I think we have been talking a lot about inclusivity, work culture, organizations, and all. But we really want to know you as a person. So we have curated couple of rapid fire questions for you. So whatever come first in your mind, you have to answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one is mountains or beaches.
Mountains,
Okay. One word that describes your leadership style.
empowerment.
Hmm. This is strong. Okay. The most adventurous thing you have ever done.
I hiked to K2 base camp in Pakistan.
Hmm. We'll talk more about it. A country you could visit over and over again.
Oh, that's very difficult. I've been to a lot of countries. It would probably be Thailand, not because of the nature, but because of my friends that live there. They're like family to me.
Okay. One book that changed your perspective on leadership.
Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
A code or mantra you live by.
Keep the breath, keep the pace.
Nice. I thought you already know the answer, right? Or the questions. What's one thing on your bucket list you haven't done yet?
One thing that's very difficult because I have 101 goals written down on my list. Machu Picchu, which
Next.
yes, which I actually have booked for later this month for my birthday. So that's on my list, on my bucket list.
Wow. Mm. So we'll invite you again just to understand your experience.
Please do.
If you were not in HR, what career would you choose?
Oh, it's a cross between maybe being a nurse, although I don't really like blood that much. I'm also maybe would open up a pet orphanage to take care of animals and then release them into families
So you're
as
an
well.
animal lover.
I love animals, but yeah, I mean, not snakes. Okay, I know I'm wearing a snake shirt, but I don't love snakes. I love cats. I love dogs. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So let's jump back to our questions again. As you have mentioned about Mount Kilimanjaro, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
ask something related to that only. So you have taken on extreme challenges like summiting Mount Kilimanjaro.
Mm-hmm.
What do those experiences teach you about resilience, and what's that one experience completely changed your mindset?
Yes. So it's funny you asked that because my dad doesn't really like that I'm going into the mountains. He's quite scared and he asked me, why you have to do this? And I mean, I put myself in these mountain situations where I've been in the mountains for almost 20 days at one point in time, and I'm in a tent, no washing my hair, no taking a shower. Um, what I love most about being in the mountains is there's no choice to turn back. I can't just get a helicopter off the mountain and quit. You have to go forward. Or if you go back, you have to literally walk through every single thing that you already walked through. So for me, the choice is always go forward. I don't know what's going to be there. I don't know what's going to be around the corner, but I would rather do that and push forward and get to my summit or get to my end than have to turn around and go back through every single rock and stone and creek and water that I already went through. So for me, there's no choice. When I'm there, my mind can only move forward because in the day to day life, you can quit, you can turn
Right.
around, right? But when you're on the mountains, you have no choice but to go forward.
So they teach us that look for the best possible options and move forward.
Yep. For me, it's what I really love about it. And I put myself in, to be frank, dangerous situations sometimes. I've fallen through I cracked through ice on a glacier river in Pakistan, and I was soaked through and through from my shoulders all the way to my toes. And I still had to go over the pass and then get to the camp, which was 9 hours in soaking wet boots from glacier water in the snow. But I did it
Mm.
because I had no choice.
So you are a risk taker, I would say.
I am a risk taker and I love to push myself and the mountains do that for me. And the best part is nobody can email you when you're there.
Mm. Yeah, this is the best part, I would
Yes.
say. Yeah. I should also try something like this. Okay, so you already have almost 16 plus of experience in HR and people and culture. So what do you think future of HR and workplace culture looks like?
I don't know what it looks like, but what I hope it looks like is that people start to really care about people. I think that obviously we had COVID, we all know about that. And at that time, we saw more humanity, we saw people caring. But now it seems we're going back to the old ways. We're going back full time to the office. We're forgetting that people have families. We're forgetting what's important to humans, which is family and care and empathy. And I want us as a world to go back to that. Of course, work is there. Of course, work needs to be done. Of course, businesses need to make money. But at the cost of what? I think it's important to not let people get burnt out, to be stressed, to be having mothers and fathers going home to the children that they're already in bed because they've had such long days to make money for a company.
Right.
And who's suffering here? It's the children. And then they will see that. Then another generation grows up that same way. I really want humans to be humans again.
That is, deep. But what do you think that one practice which organizations and the companies should let go of, which is really outdated?
Mm. I think the outdated is keeping track of humans like they're a number,
Mm.
to be honest. I remember when I was a kid and my dad would go to work and he would have that punch card. Like he'd have to put the time card.
Time card, yeah.
It would go in, like you see on TV from 1970s. And I feel like this is really something we need to get rid of. It's not a clock in, clock out. And it's unfair to have clock in, clock out employees, but then companies are still calling them on nights and weekends and still emailing them on nights and weekends. Either you're a clock in, clock out company and you let the employee go, or you're around the clock, but you get flexible work. For me, this is the biggest thing. It's just not fair. You work 9 to 5, good. Let them have their nights and weekends. Otherwise, you have flexible working schedules if you need it to be done.
Okay. So how can organizations can better support the that perfect work life balance for their employees?
I think it's also about this. This is a very difficult question because one single employee in one single job is very different. Like even in my
Right.
company, I have 1,500 employees almost. That's 1,500 individuals with
Hmm.
1,500 individual souls and life experiences, not to mention the diversity of the roles. Um, we have CEOs and COOs of a company, and of course, we have drivers of the company. So the expectations are very, very different. I think it's important as for the company, again, to value those people, to listen to them, to do employee surveys, but actually take the action. Ask questions of those employees. Go to them. What are your challenges? How are you feeling? Do you like your job? And hopefully companies can make changes rather than just making policies and procedures and not actually caring if it's helping or hurting people.
I want to know from you, like, what was the best career advice you have ever received in your career?
Hmm, don't take it personally,
Hmm.
to be honest. And when I was younger, trust me, I
I
took
know.
everything
I
personally.
know.
And I always, another mantra I have as well, you asked about that earlier, is I always tell my team or anyone I'm kind of having a conflict with,
Hmm.
I am attacking the problem, not the person. This is the thing because even people, they take things so
Hmm.
personally. It's not about the person, it's about the problem.
Right.
And we have a problem, we have to attack it, we have to solve it. So I always say, I'm attacking the problem, I'm not attacking the person. But yeah, don't take it personally
Hmm.
because that is just going to keep you up all night long and
Absolutely.
eat at you. So I
But I
just,
think as you will grow in your career ladder, you will understand more about it. I think this is more prominent in the younger generation because they have just entered.
yeah,
That's
100%.
the workplace and all, and slowly and gradually they will understand.
Yeah.
It's like
And it comes with maturity and
absolutely.
experience as
Mm.
well. And emotional regulation is a big thing,
Mm.
right? I practice emotional regulation.
Mm.
Sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I'm not so good at it, right? But when you're a leader, for me, emotional regulation is so
Mm.
important because I have people watching me. I have people looking at me for guidance, for setting the tone, how I communicate. And
Right.
if I lose my emotions, they see that. Then they either think it's okay and then they
Mm.
can do the same thing, or they'll judge me because it's
Mm.
not okay. Um, so, emotional regulation is a big, big thing for me as a leader.
So, do you think is it the best leadership advice, or do you have something else which you want to share?
Leadership advice, I think it's important to actually understand what type of leader you want to be. First and foremost, right? Which when I was younger, I never thought about this. You don't think about that. You're in a role, you get promoted. Okay, I'm a manager now. Okay, now I tell people what to do. Okay, that's not it. You have to think about your leadership style. It's almost as if you're acting sometimes, right? Because you have to get the best out of the people. So, how do I do that? For me, it's empowerment.
Mm.
I praise my employees. I say, amazing job, well done, awesome report, because I can see that recognition, right? People need recognition. And for me, I believe recognition allows people that confidence to even do better rather than pointing out mistakes and finding faults. I don't lead like that because I think that scares people. And yeah, they might do better next time, but they're doing it through fear. So for me, I would rather lead through praise, through encouragement, and showing what they have done as well. So when someone in my department does a report, I say, oh my gosh, please show that in the next meeting. I want that. I want you to show that. That's amazing what you did. And then everyone else sees they're doing something amazing and they applaud them. They literally clap and applaud them. And then I say, next time it's going to be you. So that way they know this is what's coming for them and then they'll have praise. as well. Because when you go to work every single day, do you want to be shouted at? Do you want your mistakes to be pointed out? Or do you want to be praised for the work that you're doing? I think praise.
Hmm.
But going back to the question of leadership, you have to think about it. A person has to think about the qualities they want to embody as a leader. When I go to the office, I'm Jessica, but I'm also head of people and culture. And those are two different people that are
Hmm.
blended together. So when I'm the leader, I embody these qualities as well. So that's how I think it should be.
No, this is wonderful actually. And I would say this is an amazing advice as well for the people, those who are listening this thing. I, you need to set the examples.
Yes.
It is very important. Okay, so if you could go back and give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I've thought about this. I think it's just keep going. No matter what happens, keep going, and be positive.
Nice. And what's your personal mantra or philosophy that keeps you motivated?
Well, like I said before, keep the breath, keep the pace, which is something my mom kind of told me when I was really struggling running a 10K race. But it's true. Keep your breath steady, and just keep the
The
pace.
pace.
Keep going no matter what. Keep yourself calm and keep going.
No, I think this is a very out of the box advice, I would say. Yeah. But I think in your normal life as well, you can relate it with this thing very well.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jessica, is there any piece of advice or any message which you would like to give to the people, those who are watching the show and they are going to see you spreading the positivity and awareness about the empowerment and inclusivity and other message? So, any message which you would like to share to the people through this platform?
I would just like to share to people to number one, always be kind. You never know what another human is going through. And that's so important. Before you shout at somebody or raise your voice at somebody or point out a mistake, speak with kindness first. Maybe something's going on there. And be positive. You know, it does nobody any good to be negative and talk about negative things. So for me, I would say be kind and be positive.
Okay. So, thank you so much for coming on the show and spreading the joy and positivity. Thank you so much. I think people really need that a lot. And the message which you just mentioned right now, it is very important to understand what the other person is going through. Sometimes, in the rush of the moment, or maybe we have our own life, we forget about the person who is there. We just read the faces and we move on, right? So, thank you so much for this message. And thank you so much for coming and sharing the words.
Thank you so much as well.